Okay. First of all, give them all the credit. They made more plays than we did, and frankly, they played tougher than we did today. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind Wyoming won both lines of scrimmage in both phases of the game. I am proud of the way that we fought and gave ourselves a chance, but we should never allow ourselves to be in that position, and we have nobody to blame but ourselves. I didn't coach good enough, the assistants didn't coach good enough, and the players didn't play good enough because a lot of what Wyoming got in the first half is what we allowed them with bad mistakes, bad fundamentals, and frankly, just a lack of physicality. The inconsistency right now of our football team, mentally and physically, how we're so up and down is maddening right now. And I've got to do everything I can to figure out how to get this thing fixed. But, we just got to, we have no choice. We got to pick ourselves up and try and get ourselves back to 4-4 next weekend. So with that, I'll take any questions.
You had mentioned entering the game the physical nature and how hard this team plays. Is it safe to say you feel like you didn't match their physicality? And
that is safe to say. I feel like they won the physical battle today. And that's frustrating because that was a key of emphasis. That was a point of emphasis throughout the course of the week. We knew it was going to be a physical game. We didn't get off blocks. We didn't tackle. There are multiple times where we hit the running back on the line of scrimmage and the pile moves forward for 4 or 5 yards. That's not acceptable. We got to do better than that.
I mean, you made it a point to also point out that they're better than 0-6. Do you feel like your team maybe looked at them as 0-6 and maybe didn't fully let that sink in?
I can't speak for the mentality of our players. I can only tell you that we talked over and over again that they were more talented than an 0-6 team and that they were tough and well coached, and they are very well coached. Give Craig Bull and his staff a ton of credit. They did a heck of a job. I can only tell you that as a staff, we tried incredibly hard to guard against that. In terms of the mental makeup of our players going into it, only they can speak to that.
They had a lot of success in the passing game. I think they only had 2 incomplete passes. Why were they so successful throwing the ball today?
Well, we were loaded up to stop the run. There's no doubt about that. But when you're playing cover one, we can't play 9 yards off a receiver and just let them. They completed 1 deep shot. So, I mean, death by 1,000 paper cuts. And on the deep shot was a double move, and we didn't play it correctly. But when we're playing cover one and saying, okay, we're going to put an extra defender in there to stop the run, we've got to get up and do a better job of challenging people and not let them just play pitch and catch in front of us. And then when we have 3rd and 18 and they throw a 5-yard underneath route, we've got to run and tackle. I mean, it's not rocket science. We've got to play better fundamental football. This was not a failure of X's and O's. This was a failure of fundamental football. And I'm not saying that to blame the players, because the coaches are responsible for making sure that we play fundamental football. But this was not a failure of X's and O's. This was a failure of getting off blocks and doing the little things that we need to do.
You mentioned the inconsistencies of the team. It seems like 1 game up, 1 game down. You just haven't been able to string together, 2 good games in a row. I think it's middle of last year, last time you guys won 2 in a row. I guess what's been the biggest key in not being able to find that consistency?
Right now, I couldn't tell you. If I knew the answer, it wouldn't happen. I thought the preparation in this week's practice was fine. The depth issues are still hurting us, but everybody's got depth issues. Wyoming was as banged up as we were. I'm searching for that answer right now.
And another slow start in the first half. I mean, is that an area of concern?
Yeah, there are a couple moments in the game that really upset me. We open with some first downs and then have a bad penalty that sets us way behind the chains. I'm incredibly upset by the way that we came out in the second half. We're down 14, talk about kicking and covering and getting a stop, and we shank the kickoff. We give up a double move over our head and allow a touchdown. The sequence of plays right before the end of the half is awful. I mean, we have a minute and a half to go with a couple of timeouts. We should be able to try and make some plays and go down the field. We go 3 and out, line drive a punt, don't cover it very well, and then allow them to go in and score to make it, 21-7 at the half. I mean, that's not winning football, and it's not good enough. And like I said, I'm proud of the fact that we fought all the way to the end and had a chance, but there are no medals for trying. We've got to find a way to get it done, and right now we're not getting it done.
You guys did have the ball with 90 seconds to go, 3 timeouts at the 25. I mean, most teams go for it there. I mean, do you have any regret doing that just because of how things turned out, or you just didn't execute properly enough?
I mean, if I'd run it 3 times and they take their timeouts, everybody's screaming for my head. I mean, it was the right thing to do. We've got to be able to throw and catch. And it's not like they were playing some exotic defense we hadn't seen. They were in their base stuff, and we had a miscommunication between the quarterback and a receiver, and we drop a ball. I mean, we just got to execute. We got to be better.
Offense was better in the second half. I guess what changed as far as the
Nothing changed in terms of plan or play calling. We just started making plays and stopped moping around. I mean, obviously we had to pick the tempo up, and the tempo, when we went faster, they got a little bit tired, and we ended up getting a couple of plays. I think the 2 touchdown passes in the second half, I think neither guy is covered down because we're moving fast and they couldn't get lined up. But ultimately, it was just a matter of executing at a higher level than we did in the first half.
So your team was kind of moping down. I guess, were you unhappy with how they maybe approached the game, or when they got down?
The preparation leading up to the game was not a problem. I did not like our body language at points in the game, and the coaches were up and down the sideline. But, I mean, ultimately, players got to play. They got to decide. And, if we got to beg them to compete, we got to identify the guys that are going to fight and fight and fight. Because, I mean, we've been in the spot before. We were down 15 at the half last year at BYU and came back and found a way to win the game. It's not like these were insurmountable odds. I mean, we just got to find a way to keep playing the next play and competing.
The last one, the 4th and 5, they obviously brought pressure. What was the play call? What were you guys trying to get out of that play?
We got fooled a little bit. The quarterback changed the protection at the line of scrimmage, saw something pre-snap, and they ended up coming from the other direction, which it's unfortunate, but it happens. Bottom line is we can't allow ourselves to be in 4th and 5. I don't blame anybody for that. It's football. Excuse me. We gotta not be in 4th and 5 with the game on the line.
You guys called a timeout leading into that play. Was the clock running low, or did you just want
No,
to
we want to
take
we want to see if we could take a picture of what they were doing. They changed their call. So.